Good morning. My name is Father Rayappa. Today I'm going to comment on St. Paul's letter to Colossians chapter 3, where St. Paul talks about strip off the old clothes. In fact, he writes before that, when you were living that life. What life? I think very bad life. I think that's 65 million years ago. So that life, Jesus explains what is that life is all about in Matthew 23, chapter 23, verse 33. You brood of vipers. You brood of vipers. You are like snakes full of poison and deceit and calumny and treason and violent, aggressive, all those stuff. When you were living that life, St. Paul says, but Jesus says that life is nothing but it's a reptilian, the poisonous life of humans. You brood of vipers, and he says you whitewashed tombs. And at last he says, you evil generation. These are the text about humans, but we don't read that. But we read always, the Lord is my good shepherd. There is nothing I shall want. I am an angel, Psalm 8. I am little less than an angel. All this beautiful text you want to read and boost inflate your own ego. But you got to read these three texts, you brood of vipers, whitewashed tombs, and evil generation. So I think we have a very, very bad ancestry. So we came from reptiles to mammals. We are mammalian, isn't it? So reptiles and mammals diverged 65 million years. That means 6.5 crore years ago. So that's what Paul is writing. When you were living that life, what were you doing anyway? Your old lifestyle, what is it? So St. Paul is writing in the letter to Colossians chapter 3, verse 5 to 7 and 8. Can I read it for you? Therefore, put to death what is earthly in your life, that is immorality, impurity, inordinate passions, wicked desires, and greed, which is a way of worshipping idols. These are the things that arouse the wrath of God. For a time you followed this way and lived in such disorders. Well then, reject all that anger, evil intentions, malice, and let no abusive words be heard from your lips. That life, so bad. So actually scientists call reptilian brain, mammalian brain. So reptilian brain means all those primitive aggressions. So that is you brood of vipers. And now mammalian, we have evolved almost 65 million years. We are called human beings. We are part of still mammalians. And now we have developed some positive virtues. The evolution of emotions. We love and we care and we are kind and we are compassionate, and we show also compassion to other parts of nature, which is called empathy. All these things in English, they use one word, altruism. We became altruistic. That is our gift God has given to us. St. Paul is now, he's talking to snakes like. So he says, strip off the old clothes. Again, snakes are known for molting, isn't that? Stripping off the skin. So Paul is telling, strip off the old clothes. Shed it. So it makes a very good connection with our reptilian ancestry. That is how we are snakes. Strip off, strip off. And then Paul writes, put on the new clothes. Snakes, when they molt, Usually they do in the night time. You know why? Because it takes at least 2 hours to shed the skin of a snake. And daytime means while they shed their skin, they are not watching for the predators. So eagles can come and eat snakes. They take away because they are busy shedding their own skin and they can't see at that time. So, but that's why they do it in the night time, molting. Because night time there are no predators and the moonlight is beautiful and they roll like a ball and they shed and slowly they strip off the old skin. Very hard. In fact, I have witnessed one molting in a full moon day. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Very hard job, vulnerable. And after shedding the new skin, my God, it is transfiguration. Transfiguration. Like Jesus transfigured. The same sentiment you will get when the snakes come with the new skin. So St. Paul in Colossians says, strip off your old clothes and put on the new clothes. So what are those new clothes? The old clothes, as I read you just now, all bad stuff. That is a reptilian part. But the new clothes is of a mammalian trait, they call it. So we are mammals and we are created in God's image and all that stuff comes in. So Paul writes in Colossians chapter 3 verses 12 onwards. He writes as follows. Clothe yourselves then as is fitting for God's chosen people, holy and beloved of Him. Put on compassion, kindness, humility, meekness, and patience, to bear with one another and forgive whenever there is any occasion to do so, as the Lord has forgiven you. Forgive one another. Above all, clothe yourselves with love, which binds everything together in perfect harmony. May the peace of Christ overflow in your hearts. For this end you were called to be one body and be thankful. Wow! St. Paul, the letter to Colossians. And actually, St. Paul is simply telling we can become angels. But today we are plugged in reptilian brain. Our plug is in reptilian brain. That's why so much bad stuff happen around the world. So many bad people because they are plugged in reptilian brain. But we need to take the plug out and plug it in the mammalian brain. Saints are made in mammalian brain. And humility, meekness, as St. Paul says, plug it into mammalian brain. That is the place where we can become humans and we can even become gods, angels. The imago Dei, the image of God, see right here in mammalian brain. So I think Jesus is right when he says 23 Matthew 33 verse, you brood of vipers, you evil generation, you whitewashed tombs. Yeah, but that is our ancestry. We can say goodbye to all of them and we can become humble and merciful. As Jesus says, blessed are the merciful, you will find mercy. This is a year of mercy, Jubilee year of mercy 2016, and I think Pope is inviting all of us to become more human and humane, and we are capable of it. The good news is we are capable of it, and we need not end up in despair, and we should always end up in hope. And our species is a benevolent species, good species. God has created with the dignity and value. I think we need to come back to the paradigm of justice and the paradigm of love and the paradigm of care and concern for each other. So please read Colossians chapter 3. It's very interesting from the Bible. And thank you and God bless. Have a nice day.